our heroes.
Look, I watched this when it came out. I've been watching a lot of movies recently. Jarvis will butt in when he remembers cool things that I will also vaguely remember while reading this. But I'm going to read this time.
All I just remember.
You expect a lot from me.
I just remember from the beginning is Jarnathan.
Jarnathan. Yeah. I do remember Jordan. So this is from the Wikipedia page because it's the easiest one I could find access to that I could trust most of. Trust Wikipedia. It tells you the truth. This is not a sponsorship. Proud of imprisonment, Bard Edgin Darvis, jeez, served as the Harpers.
It's going to be a rough one with names.
Yeah.
This was going to be a rough journey.
An order of peacekeepers until his wife was killed by disciples of a red wizard he arrested. Accompanied by a barbarian Holga Kilgore, easier name, of the Kilgore family.
Yes.
Edgin. I'm sorry, Edgin Darvis is awful.
Darvis. He sounds like he might be like my cousin.
It's like if somebody mashed
Darvis
your
Jarvis.
name together to like be quirky.
Yeah.
Like, how's it going, Darvis? And then you go, hey, man. You don't like seeing that person because they call you Darvis.
Yeah, I'd be like, yeah, that's...
Like when people call me Mike, I can't stand it. It's when somebody calls you, Civil War.
Wow.
Yeah. Not
That's
anybody in specific. Not any bald people at the shop or anything. Anyways, Edgin attempted to make a new life for himself and his daughter Kira by turning to theft, as you do. Teaming with amateur sorcerer Simon, I'm not going to say his last name because I can't say it, rogue con artist Forge Fitzwilliam, and Forge's mysterious acquaintance Sophina. While raiding a Harper stronghold, Edgin attempts to steal a tablet of reawakening to resurrect his wife, but he and Holga are captured through their accomplice's escape. After 2 years' imprisonment in Arctic Revel's End, the pair, unaware that they have been pardoned, escape to Neverwinter and learn Forge has become lord there and its prior lord has been mysteriously incapacitated.
This is where I interject because the whole... them giving he's narrating the backstory, all this stuff about his wife, and he keeps stopping and mentioning Jarnathan. Where's Jarnathan? We need Jarnathan, and I think this is very important because he's a bird person, with wings that can fly.
Yeah,
and so the whole thing was they weren't convinced that they were going to be able to that they were going to be let go or pardoned early, and so the whole plan was they were just going to tackle Jarnathan, the bird person, out of the window and force him to fly them to safety.
Yeah,
because he has wings, which
is a good plan.
As soon as he showed up,
solid plan.
They sure did that. They poor Jarnathan, he was a rough landing for him.
I hate all of these names. I forgot how much these names were just like almost names, and they're not.
Yeah.
He's been taking care of Kira, the Forge, who is currently the Lord of Neverwinter.
And this is Hugh Grant's character.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only one that made it out of the time thing with the red wizard lady with her. They made it out. Everybody else got trapped.
Yep. And he's definitely not working with her. That's a common thing, and that's a common thing in Dungeons and Dragons too, where
people don't work with each other on a regular basis,
where you like are introduced to your enemy immediately, and you're like, oh, somebody's betrayed everybody. That's crazy. It's a common trope.
Gotcha. Okay.
It is revealed that Sophina is a red wizard, and together they orchestrated Edgin and Holga's capture. Sophina attempts to execute Edgin and Holga, but they escape and decide to rob Forge's vault and bring Kira home during the upcoming High Sun Games, needing the tablet to prove their innocence to Kira and resurrect Edgin's wife.
Yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans, that are happening. So I think, again, to interject...
I feel like we missed like a good chunk of the movie in this explanation.
Yeah.
Because it's like the second half of the movie, I think. The first half is like them going to find a bunch of stuff before they show up to Neverwinter.
It's the Avengers Assemble part where they're just getting the team together. And through that, they they have some shenanigans. But I think one of the funny parts is that Simon, our mage character, he actually has some kind of, I forget what it is, some kind of artifact that lets him bring people back to the dead from the dead, and you can ask them 3 questions, and which that was a whole funny bit.
That was a whole funny bit.
That was funny.
Where they continued to keep asking people
over
and over, and then they just
and I like when they got to the end, they got their answer on the first question, so he had to ask random questions so that he could go back to resting. Like, what's your favorite color?
Which is
what's your
Dungeons
favorite
and Dragons
food?
shenanigans.
Yeah. So that's cool. There actually is a whole dungeon and a whole dragon. Actually, you could say
that happens before all of this, I think, right?
Because it was big enough.
Doesn't that happen all before whatever I was just saying?
I
feel like it does.
No, I don't think so, because you were talking about raiding the stockpile.
Yeah.
So like, there's a whole part where they meet Mr. Perfect, druid guy, because that's where the last dead guy was like, oh, you need this helm that will break through this impenetrable
so they have
force
to go find
field.
the helm. Yeah,
they find the guy who knows where it is, the perfect dude,
the paladin.
The paladin, and he takes them into the dungeon. Check mark off the name dungeon.
And there's a dragon in there.
Yeah, and they go and they're like, oh, here's this mystical helm. So I think, like, when we say that the movie is not very deep, like, it's, oh, you need to find the thing that allows you to do the thing so you can do the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of movies do that. And so it's not groundbreaking in that sense.
And the whole thing with Dungeons and Dragons is that the story is like a side character.
Yeah.
And the characters are the ones that get to actually have development. And so that, again, that tracks here. People go through a bunch of shenanigans and then, like, they learn about themselves.
Yeah, is there development for our characters in this dungeon?
I don't think in the dungeon specifically, but
Simon,
through the rest of the story, yeah.
Simon
gains self-confidence.
Yeah, a little bit. He does some things.
And Edgin learns that he's not a bad guy.
Oh, yeah. It's like, dude, anytime someone says bad guy, I always think about...
just because you're a bad guy does not make you a bad guy.
Just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you are a bad guy. I love that. That's one of my favorite movies that we have to do.
Okay. We'll get there. No, we haven't done any Wreck-It Ralph movie.
No. Wreck-It Ralph. We've referenced it.
Yeah, we did the Emoji movie. Yeah. Which is basically... Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, worse, Wreck-It Ralph. I told you I had to wash my brain clean of Emoji Movie with Wreck-It Ralph.
That's fair.
But so there's dragons. A lot of people got eaten. Mm-hmm. Some people got burned up. They almost.
Oh yeah, you're skipping, but I'll just skip to where you are. That's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
So they get the helm.
Yeah.
Simon has trouble mastering the helm's power, so they decide to use the staff to enter the vault during the games.
Well,
I don't know what the staff is.
Isn't Simon a part of some, like, family of, like, strong wizards and stuff, too?
He learns that later. You're skipping ahead again.
Well, he knew.
He's having a hard time using the helm, and then later on he actually attunes to the helmet and then learns that he's part of...
Oh, I thought that was directly after the dungeon when they're on the beach where he starts trying to do that. What's his name? Trying to figure out a plan. And he's like, master the helmet. And he keeps trying and trying. You know what I'm saying? I think that's directly after the dungeon. So
yeah, they do just skip over that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Simon learns that he's a cool guy.
Related, or he's related to cool guys.
But apparently it has no bearing on the story, so we're gonna skip past it. I trust Wikipedia. Quote me on it. So Simon and Holga infiltrate the vault to find an empty room except for a magical trap. Sophina, disguised as Kira, subdues Edgin, which is just a really short sentence for tricks him to trap him. We have not described who Kira is. Yeah, it said at the beginning that Kira is Edgin's daughter. Okay, so Kira is important because she's Edgin's daughter, and Forge wants the current Lord of Neverwinter, wants his daughter for something I don't remember. Just for bragging rights, I guess.
I think blackmail token. He's like, hey, I've got your daughter, so you got to do. I think it's like
probably.
Yeah, it's like
You're
subtle,
on my side now.
Subtle kidnapping to where he's like, hey, I got a hostage here.
We all love subtle kidnapping.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the group is captured and then forced to participate in the games. But then they escape the stadium. There's more shenanigans.
These are like gladiator games. It feels like, but with magic and
in dungeons and dragons.
Mazes. I don't know if there was any dragons, but there was some creepy looking like panther.
Instead of Dungeons and Dragons, it's stadiums and jellies.
Oh yeah, jellies. They do that. They did that in Onward. Is that Onward with the Pixar movie?
Yes.
Yeah, they did that with the jelly that just dissolves everything.
Yeah, which is another Dungeons and Dragons staple.
Yeah.
Those are like one of the first things that you possibly encounter in a dungeon just because they are there.
Are there any glorbs there? Or glarbs, I mean?
Sure.
Because they can always be found.
Yeah, glarb can always be found. The group steals a boat after escaping and rescue Kira from Forge, who has threatened Kira's life. They really are just glossing over a bunch of stuff, huh?
So much.
It's very like
all the cool
this next thing happens.
Yeah, the cool fun stuff.
Instead of being like, yeah, they did some sick flips and really cool stuff, and then they attacked this monster bear thing, and then like did a fireball thing. They're just like, this person was defeated.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
they fought and won.
I mean, I think it's important to talk about one of the members of the crew. What is she? Is she like some kind of?
She's a druid.
Druid.
What she is?
A
tiefling druid. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're introduced to her as like this big owl creature, the owl bear.
The owl bear.
That is very scary. Looks very strong.
It's an owl bear.
Yeah. So it's supposed to be. She turns into a deer at one point. You know, she's very near and dear, at least to Simon's heart. And so she can transform into things. Come on, that was like, I feel like the first one. Okay, well maybe the second. I don't know who's counting, anyways. But in the comments if you're counting. And then what's some other cool stuff? I mean, Simon, he's apparently not very good at magic at all.
But he's got like little level 1 spells that he can like toss out, and they work.
I mean,
for
he reversed gravity when they first find him, which was kind of cool. But he was like, "Oh, I was just stressed out."
Yeah.
I think like
he's got performance anxiety.
Yeah, our main character, Chris Pine, Edgin, comes up with the ideas. He's the idea man. I think it was his idea to put the portal on the painting.
Yeah.
So that they could portal into the impenetrable force field.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff that I think was missed.
It's a lot of fun shenanigans and hijinks.
Yes.
So they get out and save Kira, which is pretty cool. And then they escape, and the group realizes Sophina organized the games to draw a crowd to turn them into a massive undead army.
Yeah.
Using the curse that destroyed Thay. Yeah. Great name drop in here, Wikipedia.
Yeah, so we need to talk about this because we see early on that the what's her name?
Sophina?
Yeah, Sophina is definitely just a puppet of someone who is a lot more shadowy and menacing.
Yeah, and has a
skull for a head, I think.
And she has a different plan from everybody else.
Yeah, and because he advises her from the shadows on what to do. She's beholden to him, and he's like...
we don't really know why.
No, we don't know who this shady character is. He sounds scary and powerful, and Safina's scared of him. Mm-hmm. So, and that's their plan is they are using, what's his face to bring a
Forge.
bunch of people to basically just be sacrifices. They're gonna suck their souls.
But Forge doesn't know that.
Yeah, they're gonna suck their souls. Basically, he just thinks he's just gonna continue to get rich and
she's just
live
doing
the high life.
a classic demon sacrifice.
Yeah,
You suck the souls out of a bunch of people.
yeah, because they're all there at once. Rich people, poor people alike. They're just all gonna get their souls sucked.
And the group realizes it, and they steal a hot air balloon, and then use the weird portal magic to sprinkle gold all around the outside of the stadium to get him out of there.
Oh yeah, that was it. But see, that's another thing that they set up before too, because he made a deal with Mr. Handsome, Mr. Perfect,
Forge. Forge. Oh no.
Forge.
The Paladin. What's his name?
Mr. Paladin. Mr. Perfect.
His name's Zinc.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect Paladin. He makes a deal with them. He's like, as long as you give all the treasure to the peoples, then you can,
that won't take you
have
back
your journey
in.
blessed.
Yeah.
And so he ends up doing that, but to save them, to get all the people out of the soul-sucking arena.
And it works. And it works, and it makes Sofina very angry.
Yeah, she doesn't like that very much.
Yeah, and so this is where the whole group actually comes together to stop one red mage.
Well, I think, and an important thing to also note is that he basically, when he defeated Forge and convinced Kira, hey, I'm not a bad dad, which that's the thing that was happening, is Forge was trying to be like, oh, he's a bad dad, he left you. He just didn't want you to bother him as he tried to get rich. And that's the lie he told Kira, which we have now described is Edgin's daughter.
Edgin Darvis.
Darvis, Mr. Darvis.
Kira Darvis.
Yeah, and Kira Darvis is the daughter. And she believed, because Forge's lie, that he was just a greedy little thief that just wanted to be rich and didn't love her at all, and that's not true. He loved her very much and wanted to bring his family back. And so she finds that out abruptly when Forge puts a knife through her throat.
Yeah.
And is like, no, you can't have this. Because he's like, hey, look, daughter, I have daughter Darvis. I have the thing that I said that I was getting to bring mom back so we could have our family.
Yeah.
Because it was the only thing in the whole entire universe that could do so. And so he got it. And he was going to do the thing. And then he was like, oh, shoot, all those people are going to die. And he's like, I can't allow that to happen because I'm a good person.
Yeah. So so they do that. And then Sofina gets very angry and starts attacking the group. Simon uses some time magic.
Well, they all do their things in order, like you said.
Yeah, Simon does time magic to stop. Well, they fight and they start losing.
Yeah.
And then they go, we have a concept of a plan. And then they put it into action.
Yeah,
and
doesn't Simon have an epiphany moment somewhere around this time?
Yeah.
Where he confronts his forefather in the helmet world.
His avatar moment.
Yeah, and he's just like, no, actually, I am strong and I can do this, and you're a poopy meanie head.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, you passed.
Stops time, which is overpowered. And then Kira uses an invisibility pendant that she's had this whole time that was also slightly mentioned. It worked better in the story, I promise. To go sneak an anti-magic bracelet onto Sofina so that Doric, she's the druid, goes into owlbear form and just starts beating the fuck out of her.
Yeah, they have a pretty epic fight. I mean, Simon has some good moments.
But then so Sofina is attacked by Doric in owlbear form and then killed by falling debris. But then Holga is fatally injured. And then Edgin has to have his moment where he's like, so my wife's dead, but this person who has been with me on this whole journey is also dying.
Yeah, and it's by something that's
my fault.
Well, yes, but also completely fatal, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, except for the one thing that they have.
Yeah,
that they all risked their lives to get. And so he used the tablet on her instead, and they all have a loving, happy family. And Doric,
platonically,
our druid,
because he's not him and Olga are not attracted to each other at all.
Yeah, But
So
Doric,
it's
Doric and Simon.
Thank goodness, because we'd have to.
Doric and Simon. And then restored, the old Lord of Neverwinter declares the team of heroes of the realm, and Zank, the paladin, sends Forge to Revel's End, where he fails to escape, as Edgin and Holga did when his pardon is denied. So it's what you were talking about, where they get what's his face, Jonathan. He tries to attack Jonathan out the window, and it fails because
fool me once.
Yeah, fool me once.
Jonathan was like, push me out a window once.
Yeah,
shame
ain't happening
on you.
again.
Push me out a window twice, it ain't happening.
Yeah,
I think that's how the saying goes.
So that's Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Hey, you look good over there.
Look real good.
We thought about sharing your kindness with others.
Share the love.
Maybe like the video. Click on that subscribe button and show your friends.
Yeah, just touch it ever so lightly, that like button. Move over to the subscribe button. Maybe tap your keyboard just a little bit. Leave a comment. Bye.
That's it.